everyone. Good morning to you if you are in Australia. Good evening if you are in Northern Hemisphere. Welcome back to my channel and welcome everyone to our live musings. And today's feature, as you can see, I have a very special guest all the way from France. We are here with Agnes Kappler of Kartograme. Now, my friends, if you've been following my channel for a while, you now know that I do everything that Agnes does. But if you are new here and if you're hearing about Kartograme for the first time, let me just share with you that Kartograme is an artisanal workshop specializing in handcrafting, handmade, the most delightful, the most exquisite tarot decks, but not only tarot. And of course, here we are with the very talented Agnes, who is very well respected, especially in the circles of us who love our handmade and historic tarot card games. And Agnes is also known for an outstanding craftsmanship, attention to detail, and her dedication to everything she does. So yes, Agnes, I'm a huge admirer of yours and of Kartograme, and I'm so excited to welcome you back here. So hello again, bonjour, bonsoir, I guess for you.
Hello, Masha. I don't know how to thank you enough for your great introduction. Wow, thank you for having me on your channel. Thank you for this live chat. It's always such a great joy to talk together and to share ideas and to share ideas about the cards. I hear a little something because I think it comes from my second camera. Do you hear it from your side?
The feedback I don't, but let's ask everyone in the chat. Is the sound okay for you, everyone who is joining? Let me just quickly say hello while we're kind of checking with the sound while people let us know. Genevieve, hello, and hello to you, Fred. And Carla is here as well, and a few more people who haven't said hello. Good evening from Belgium. So it looked like the sound is okay. Yeah, so they're all saying the sound is okay. Yeah, so last time, Agnes, we spoke, it was 2 years ago already.
Yeah, already. Wow, time is flying.
Yeah, because I was looking, like when you go back in the YouTube, in my private YouTube, you can see the date. So I've had your Jean Payen tarot for 2 years already. Yeah, so I can't believe it.
Yeah, time is flying. I remember 2 years ago, I was really into developing the back of the cards with paintings and patinas. And I've been having so much fun with that. It's my freedom, my creativity can express on the back of the cards. And I must say, on the front of the cards, most of the time it's reproduction of older decks, and especially Marseille decks. And I must say, within 2 years, it has been some changes. Maybe coming from the Oswald Wirth deck, I had people asking me for Etela deck, Le Normand deck, Grand Le Normand deck, the Dondorf Le Normand that you so nicely shared on your channel.
Yeah, and we'll share the decks a little later. Yeah, no, absolutely.
It has been some evolution from the Marseille deck, I must say. And it's been great. It's been very exciting to work on Kartograme and to expand a little bit the variety of decks that I can offer now.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. But also, because you probably have, over the last 2 years, there were new people coming to Kartograme. And I know quite a lot of my tarot friends, they know of you, but they keep asking me to share more about Kartograme and your decks that I have. So for those of you who are only discovering Kartograme, can you just share, because and I will link our 2 previous interviews we did, right? So when you shared a lot about the Kartograme, how it started, and about your card making process. But just briefly, for those of you who, for those of our friends and viewers who are new here, can you just take a little bit time to share about Kartograme, how Kartograme and when it started, how it started, and then we'll talk about your evolution and all the new things as well.
Yes, I mean, Kartograme started, I must say, almost 10 years ago. It was not called Kartograme then. It was just me getting so interested in about tarot and especially Marseille deck. And I must say, I fell in love with this Dodal deck, but I didn't have a deck by the time. It was really just pictures on the screen. And I was thinking, man, this deck, I love it. I really want to learn tarot with this deck. I don't want to learn with the Grimaud deck or like the other deck that I could find in the library. I wanted this one. And I could also, actually, I could find Dodal deck and Noble deck from Jean-Claude Flornoy in the library. So one day I went to Paris and I buy the Noble deck, I must say. And then I went to Notre Dame de Paris, the cathedral. It's next to the shop actually, and I opened the deck in the Notre Dame in the cathedral, and I watched every single picture, and it was to me like, I mean, something just came in my mind. It was maybe a vision, maybe intuition, and I'm thinking, these images are so beautiful, but I want the original one. I want the real paper. I want the real colors. I want the stencil. And then I'm thinking that maybe I should do it if I can. If I can manage to do it, I will do it. And then I start searching. I started trying to print different kind of papers and glue them together to have the equivalent of an ancient card. And I must say, at the beginning, I wasn't so successful. Actually, I made one very small deck. I could get like very small files from internet, and I made a 78 cards deck, but they were just big, like few centimeters like that. And that was my first deck that I made by hand. And then I'm thinking, so I should make real cards, real size. And it became very much more difficult, and I keep trying. And I think it took me 2 years to get to find the printer, the paper, the process. And then I happened to make that kind of decks. So this is not the best camera, but this is real paper. Uh, it's handmade. It shuffles really nice. Oh, and then I'm thinking like maybe I should show this around. Maybe some people will like it. So that's why that's how it started, and it was 2018, and that's the beginning of Kartograme, basically.
Yeah, wonderful. We had a few more people saying hello to us. Yeah, I think we said hello to Isabel already.
Hello, Isabel.
Juan is here as well from Argentina. Joy is here. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here for this chat. Yeah, so that the beginnings of Kartograme, and so you said already there've been a few changes over the last 2 years. We spoke last time 2 years ago. So what are the main changes you can say that Kartograme, the main changes, the growth that Kartograme has undergone over the time?
Yeah, I think my point of view is now I'm trying to be more and more creative. At the beginning, it was reproduction ancient deck, and now I want to add a little bit of my creativity in the decks. So of course, I keep offering the reproduction of ancient Marseille deck and other decks, but I want to open up to custom orders. Some people ask me to reproduce a deck that they have created themselves. And maybe
Oh, yeah.
I can offer a special back for them that I create, so it becomes a co-creation, and it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, creating a bag for a special person after a set of pictures, or depending of their location, like for your payan deck,
Mm,
we
mm.
talked a little bit about like the
Yeah.
it's so great. I keep, for each deck I make, I always keep one card extra, so I have it for reference. So
Mm.
yours is here.
Which card did you keep? What's on the front? Which card
Well,
did you choose?
it's
Oh, the
blank.
blank card. Yeah, just to keep the back. Yeah, and they're all very different. And for those of you, I mean, I know quite a few of you who follow my channel, but it's kind of backs are inspired by the ocean, right? The foam and the waves on the ocean in Australia. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
so but can you share, yeah, you kind of started mentioning a little bit about the new additions, right, that you offer, the new projects that you've done with the decks. So what are they again? Can you just list them for those people who are, well, who don't know
yeah.
about what they can, yeah, what you're offering?
Yes, there is a long list actually. So I must say, like starting from the beginning, we have the Dodal, of course.
Mm.
We have the Noblet. Um, and Dodal and Noblet, you can have them with 22 cards or 78 cards. Now we have the Oswald Wirth. It's only 22 cards because the creator created 22 cards. I know there is like 78 cards deck with addition, but Oswald Wirth only designed 22 cards, so that's it. From then, from this place, I'm saying I started reproducing once the Grand Etela.
Mm-hmm.
It's here
I'll just bring
in
it.
that position, and the back it's like this. So basically, this one you have to write me a message and ask for it because it's not yet on the website. Many things is not on my website actually. It's like the iceberg thing. Um,
Yeah, that's why I asked because I know. Yeah, that's why I asked. People at least kind of during the conversation here, they can get an idea of what they can ask for.
yeah, of course. I'm
Yeah, I
planning
know
to
what
put
to
a
ask for.
file
Yeah.
with all the decks, and but well, the time to make it, it's always tricky. I made actually also the Grand Lenormand. So this one is here, for
Yeah,
example. So it's
very
larger
tempting.
cards.
It's so beautiful because you sent me the card, the sample
Yeah.
card, and it's just so beautiful. Yeah.
And this one has a painted back. So
Mm.
it's possible with painted back or not painted back. Um, the Payan deck, it's special. There was only 10 copies with 78 cards. And so these 10 copies have been sold.
Oh
So
wow.
now I've had a conversation with the lawyer and with the museum, and I can only make like custom decks for a single person. I cannot offer like a copy, like 100 copies of it, or even
Mm.
10 copies of it. But actually, there is here typically the kind of deck that can be made on demand. So this is the Payen deck, the Payen from the Fournier Museum,
Mhm.
and there is a custom back. So in that case, like it's possible to have a 22 cards Payen or 78 cards Payen deck, but it has to be like a special backs or special something.
Yeah.
So there is this one. Where I'm shifting from the okay, I'm a little bit mixed up because I went back to the Marseille deck.
Mhm.
But to make it simple, for the Marseille deck, there is Dodal, Noblet, Payen. I have one Grimaud.
Mm.
No, it's Marteau, Paul Marteau. And I think for the Marseille, I have the Convert
Mm.
as well. And then that's it for the Marseille.
Yeah, and with the convert, you offer it both in handmade copy and a manufactured one still?
Yes.
Yeah, because I did the walkthrough of the manufactured one. Yeah, really.
Yes, and that
Yeah.
was such a nice video. Thank you, Masha.
Oh, thank you. No, I love it. The colors, it's just over there. The colors are so beautiful. I love it. Yeah. I'm actually, well, I haven't told you that, but I'm going to Japan in October and I'm
Uh-huh.
taking the convert with me because I was pondering which Tarot de Marseille I should take, and it will be convert. So, yeah.
Oh, great. I'm happy to hear about this trip. I hope you have the best trip ever.
Yeah, it's still a month to go. I'm going at the end of October, but yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Hmm.
Um, so back to the decks I can offer. There is the Oswald Wirth deck. I think I mentioned it. And the small, I mean, it's small by the size, but it's a great deck. It's big by its quality.
Hmm.
It's the Dondorf Lenormand deck,
Hmm.
and that you showed on on your channel.
Yeah,
So
it's
this
so
one,
beautiful. Yeah, I think it's
and there is one, but I don't even have a. Oh yeah, I have a sample card. I show you because this is.
show
Oh
the back
wow, yeah,
of the yeah.
the Dondorf Lenormand.
They are the bags, handmade bags.
Yeah.
And I will later after our chat, I will link all the walkthrough that I did of your decks. I've got your Nablee majors, I've got the Payen, I've got manufactured ones, and Besançon as well, Pablo Robledo's decks. But yeah, just a few cards from this beautiful handmade
It's
Dundorf Lenormand. That's my number one Lenormand ever.
yeah, it's original, right? It's one of the first,
Mm.
and it's I really love this edition. And actually, Mandy made such a good work at uh, getting the images so nice and right. So
Mm.
that's great. And I'm having right now a new project. Sometimes I post stories about it. And let me show one card. I just pick it up. It's right here. This is totally. This is one of the craziest project. It's like, can you believe it? Oh, the colors doesn't give it justice, but
Ah,
I
yeah.
think you can recognize the Tote Crowley deck, but the green edition.
Yeah, the green. We call it greeny, because
The
it's yeah,
green, yeah.
yeah.
And wow, this is like wow, it's incredible. It's
Or the
just
back as well. Yeah.
I think my camera here doesn't give justice to the colors, but it's great. So this is a personal custom made deck
Yeah.
for one of my clients. And
I know her. I know who it's for. And
oh,
I
you
think we
know,
can
yeah,
share
yeah, yeah.
because yeah, Honey Lou, yeah, she shared it online
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, I think we
Yeah,
can
she
share
shared it
because
online.
I think she showed the sample card. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an amazing project. It's
Mm.
incredible. So
Yeah.
it's going to be very nice to make it. Of course, I think this is not for commercial use, you know.
Mm.
This is just for personal use. So it's kind of special. It has to be custom orders, something like that. And this is for Honeylu. So, but it's an incredible project, I must say. I'm rediscovering these images because I have a tote deck, but a commercial edition, and there is no comparison with Greenie, of course.
No, yeah, I'm very fortunate. I actually have two copies of Greenies. One I found on Australian eBay. It was super cheap, but it was like really old and very dirty copy. But I kind of cleaned it, and it looks very
Mhm.
old, but really nice. And the other one, my friend kind of sent me the link. It was very affordable, so I
Yeah.
do have the Greenie. But like I mean, the colors are beautiful. But your copy will be so much nicer because I know the back and the quality and the paper, it will be so good.
Thank you. I hope it's going to turn out good, but I'm going to do everything so it's the best possible. Uh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, just the question for our people here, our friends here. Just I'm curious from our group of people here, what decks from you they have.
no.
I'm just curious to find out that. But yeah, so you started talking about, like how you make decks for special order. So can you share with the handmade decks, what are the options people have in terms of paper that you select, and in terms of bags that you create, customized bags for those of people who kind of never experienced the product from you?
So currently, I use two types of paper. The first type is Japanese washi paper. It's made with two kind of fibers, and there is hemp in it, and it makes it super resistant.
Mm,
It doesn't have a lot of texture. It's kind of a velvety texture, but it's shuffling very well. And it's one of the best paper on earth for card making, I must say. And this paper is easy to print and it's easy to put together, to glue together. And I save a lot of time. It's a little bit cheaper. Then I have another paper, which is the French laid paper. And it's typically a paper from the 17th century, which I would recommend for the Marseille deck, but also for anyone who likes that kind of texture paper. It has these little lines in the texture. And this paper is maybe a little bit more yellow. It gives older touch, I would say, older feel. But it's also a paper that I have to prepare for the printing, and then it's twice the time to glue them together, and it takes me longer. It's a little bit more expensive. So, and I think sometimes people think like one is maybe better than the other, but no, both are
mm.
extremely good. And
Yeah, and like I can speak from experience, it's preference, but I like to have both, like I like, well, yeah, because the payen I have from you, it's on the French paper, right?
yeah,
And we'll talk about your new deck and the Nablet Majors I have, I think from, like, yeah, it was washi paper. Yeah.
yeah,
And I just,
yes.
yeah, so just let's see, Genevieve saying that not, so she doesn't have, they don't have any decks from you yet, but the Thor's deck is something hoping to get one day. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll have to say hello to you, Luna, as well. Luna joined us. Yes, so yeah, they're the decks on offer, and I'm always curious about, most popular, most favorite decks. So when it comes to your customers, Agnes, what is the most popular, or maybe two or three decks you have that they are more popular among your customers that you've been commissioned to create?
I think I would say two decks. One is a Marseille deck. I would say the Noblet.
Mm,
I've been asked a lot, and it's actually out of stock, but I can make, of course, more. The Noblet deck is very popular. I would say more than the Dodal, which is personally my favorite. But Noblet has something. It's small and it's well known somehow. I think there's been some literature also about the Noblet, and the Flournoy edition is still the one of the best. I love it.
yeah.
And Le Noblet is a big hit. Another one is the Oswald Wirth. This one is very much in demand, and especially for the people who are in between Marseille deck and Rider Waite Smith deck.
Mm.
They're like, this is the link, a little bit, I'd say.
Yeah, because it's already like 20th century, right? The Oswald Wirth, yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have a few cards to show for, because you changed like the background of the cards is dark, which is like unusual and very different from.
Yes, it has several different kind of bags that are possible. Uh, Maybe I have a couple here.
But even the fronts of the cards, because you adjusted them, right?
I adjusted. Yeah, yeah.
Backgrounds.
Actually,
I mean the backgrounds of the images. Yeah.
the background. I mean, I still offer the two versions. So here you
Uh-huh,
can
you do,
see the
yeah.
difference,
I'll just
and
bring
it
you
has
here.
some gilding on it.
Hmm.
So in the tower, here, actually, in the tower, it's the original background. So there is this color, which is, I call it the mushroom color. So it's in between green and brown, and it's kind of light. I understood at the beginning it was supposed to be gold, and they used a mix of pigment made of copper, and with time it lost the shine and it became that color. So it's part of history. And there are some new edition actually who kept like a background completely gilded, which was the original decision of the Oswald Wirth. But I took a different take because the first time I reproduced this deck, it was during COVID, and someone had a very specific idea, and they wanted something with illumination. So this one is actually not the best illumination. It was a try. So you see on the star, it's not the best. But now that I really know how to make it nice, like I can make it very clean. But
Yeah.
just to show you the background, here on the star, it's a darker background. And it was decided so the gilding would show much more, with more contrast. And because we wanted more contrast, we kept, I made it darker in the background. We called it the night mode of the GPS, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's very beautiful. It's very unique. So yeah, so that will be Noblet and Oswald Wirth and the more common ones. Yeah.
Yes.
You see, like I used to love. I mean, I still love the doll, and I always will. But since I got the Payen, I actually prefer Payen to the doll now.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's kind of changed. Yeah.
Do you know there is an incredible story about the païen? I think
I've heard a few, but tell us.
actually, there was this sale last year about the
Yeah,
oldest Marseille deck ever.
yeah.
The oldest complete Marseille deck ever. And this is the Vachier deck.
Mm.
It's 1737, if I'm not mistaken, because
I
maybe
think it's really, I think it's 1600s actually, something from 16 something.
yeah,
Yeah.
1600. Did I say something else?
I think you said 1772. I
Oh
think it's
my,
from
oh my, sorry.
16 something.
No,
Yeah,
no, yeah, I made a mistake.
yeah.
It's 1637 maybe,
Mm,
and it's the oldest. And there was picture on the internet, and actually a client sent me the pictures, and I checked them out. With a Photoshop, you can put them at the right size and correct the deformation of the picture. And I compared them to the païen from the Fournier Museum. And I must say, there is no difference in the lines of the design. It means like if I take here the battler, when I compare the Vachier deck and this one, there is differences in the colors of the stencils. There is differences on the spelling of the name,
mm.
but there is no differences on the black lines of the design. But like
Yeah, wood
no
blocks
difference.
must have been, yeah.
We think, I think, because
Mm.
I've been thinking this alone, but I think it's the same woods, it's the same origin.
Because that's what I've seen, like in Tarot History group on Facebook when there was one person, like she actually, I think she's been to the auction. But anyway, there were the images, a few images of the original Vashia. And yeah, I too saw so many resemblances, like just really the lines, the images, the black lines looked, yeah. But again, I didn't compare, I just only visually compared, but yeah, I agree that the resemblance is striking. And yeah, I kind of hope that this one is the same wood blocks because like the coloration, I love the coloration as well.
It,
Yeah.
it looks very much the same.
Yeah.
However, the version that's been sold on the auction, it's definitely the oldest,
Mm.
especially the colors were used in the oldest time, and there is no discussion about the datation of this oldest deck, but it seems the wood has been used for a longer time, and it looks like the païen is one
Mm.
of them. So
Yeah, no, I love it. And before we get into your baby, right? Your own deck
yeah,
that you
my
made.
little baby.
Yeah, your baby. So what like from the decks that you made? You said the doll would be your favorite, right? Because it started Kartograme and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so let's talk about your own creation now. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. Like, you tell us what's the name of the deck and how it came about, your inspiration, what started it, and what was the first card as well you did.
Ah, yeah, that's interesting. So look, I in the last 2 years I went in a business class. So because I was thinking Cartogram has to grow, Cartogram has to evolve. I want things to change, and I didn't know how. So I think like let's go to class and I figure something out.
Mm,
And I was with a lot of other craftsmen person and craft person, and it was a lot of creativity in the air, and I was actually looking for creativity, and every single one like do you draw the cards? Man, I couldn't draw 78 cards with that much details. Like it was the work of 5 people at the time.
mm,
And again, do you draw the cards? Why don't you draw your deck? Why don't you make your own? Yeah, well, it's a lot of work, you know.
mm,
And then one day, I had time actually. I think for creation you need time. I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna make my own deck. It's gonna be only 22 cards. It has to be simple and fast. And I take a piece of paper from my daughter from school, you know, like with the big squares, and I take a pencil and I draw each card. I draw the 22 cards with maybe one single line on it. And that was it. I said, okay, now I have my deck. And it stayed like this for a week. And then next week, I'm taking it and saying, so now I'm going to make a card, you know. I have this exhibition, I want to show the new card. And actually, it really started with one. I show it new. I show it now. It was this one. It was
mm,
a Maison Dieu. And the first line that I did draw was this one, like the kind of the spring. And then I redrew it a little bit. I added the little snowballs on the side, and that was it. That was the first card, actually.
mm.
And
And
it started kind of the design. I chose the colors, and in my mind, it had to be quite simple because I wanted the project to be feasible.
mm,
I wanted to be able to see the end of it. I didn't want to start a project that would last for a couple years. And it was the idea to represent the energy as simplest as possible. So I called it the schematic tarot.
mm,
And a friend of mine is actually calling it the energy tarot. Yes, it's
mm.
just about the energy, you know. To me, I should call it the energy tarot, but I call it the schematic tarot also because it's a lot influenced by science.
Because you
Because
are a
I've been a
scientist, many
scientist
people don't
before.
know that you actually, well, by degree, by you did your education as a geologist, right? University degree, yeah.
That's right.
Mm,
Yeah, and then I think I've been influenced. I started to draw the geologist. I mean, I started to draw fossils and to draw the diagrams, and it was a lot of drawing at the time. So that's also my creative learning came from science, and I think that's why it's so simple and it's schematic. It's a schematic tarot,
mm,
I think. And this deck is It has to be simple, and I must say it's each card can be read in different ways, of course, like any different tarot. But mostly, I'm going to read energy with it. Like, is it going up? Is it going down? Is it spreading? Is it working slow? Is it going fast? It's more something like that than big philosophy, I must say.
Hmm. Yeah. And can we, well, yeah, I don't know if you want to go through all of them, but probably not. But just maybe let's do a few cards from your Schematique tarot,
Yeah,
because, and of course, after the live, I will link all your website and your Instagram page and your TikTok, where you created this kind of mini classes, right? 1 minute
yeah,
classes explaining the energy of each card. But let's maybe like select a few, maybe five, maybe 10 cards,
yeah,
and yeah, of the Schematic Tarot, so you can just kind of give us an idea of what the energy and how, because they're inspired by Tarot de Marseille, so how you translated well, the classic Marseille images into the energetic expression of your schematic tarot.
yes. Look, why not do the because tarot is also a game, and in the tarot game we call it three cards, the three end of the tarot, and this is the Battler, Le Monde, and the Fool.
Hmm?
So let's take first these three cards, and maybe after that we can do the three values of the tarot, which is justice, force, and temperance,
Yeah, the
and
virtues.
it's
Yeah,
going to give us kind of first idea.
and maybe the sun and the moon, because I like celestials
Uh,
as well, like star, sun,
yes,
and moon. Yeah.
and maybe this, yeah. I want to say, because I learned this year in a yoga class that we can connect to the sources. And in the sources, there is this light up in the sky, I mean, beyond the sky. And right above the head is this small light that could be the star. On my left is the moon, and on my right is the sun. And I
Mm.
connect it with tarot, of course. So it's the sources. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can do them too.
But you see, like, yeah, that you're right, because even with yoga, like hatha yoga or yin and yang, yin is the moon and linked with the left side of the body, sun
Mhm.
is the right side of the body, and they're linked to the opposite hemispheres of the brain, how,
Yes.
yeah. So it's actually fascinating, like even like our nostrils. For those of you who don't know, I teach yoga, so like, yeah, you mentioned yoga, I go, oh, but yeah, because with the nostrils, you can actually balance out the sun and moon energy, because you begin to read what energy you have more right now, and you can balance it out through like breathing through nostrils.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's an amazing field of search, and I love it.
Yeah, so let's get to Schematic Tarot. We do have a questions later on from Eric, but we'll save the question. But yeah, we'll talk about Schematic, because that's a wonderful question, I think, to follow up later.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Eric. All right, so I'll get my copy. Which one shall I get, the handmade one or the manufactured one?
Um, Maybe the handmade,
Handmade one.
if you have it. And
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah,
yeah.
actually, yeah, I've done my walkthrough already, but I haven't posted it because I wanted to do the interview with you first.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right.
So I have here. I can show them here. And maybe it's easiest.
Yeah, I'll just bring
So
you in so you can just talk about the energies and how I mentioned, as you translated the classic Marseille image into the schematic energy inspired one. Yeah.
so here le mat. To me, le mat is someone who's a little bit not very stable. Is always moving. Is find stability by always moving. It's it's the rock who cannot have the most because it's always moving. And sometimes he's moving because he's pushed by the little creature here. And sometimes he's moving, um, I would say, because he's escaping something. And we don't know really where he's moving, but it's his way of doing. And in the schematic deck, we find, actually, I took something from the Dodal deck, which is the inclination of the wand. And we find it here in the inclination between these two entities. So the blue entity is mostly something that's more of the moon, we could say, more collective, maybe more emotional, and something that's very like difficult to define. And the red entity is more egotic, the desire, the necessity to act, and it's more on the sun side. And in the schematic tarot, we're going to find these two colors opposing, coming together, working from one to the other. And it's always a game between these two entities. So that's the first key to understand the schematic tarot deck, is to understand this blue and this red, like moon and sun, and collective or individual, kind of.
Yeah. And I do very much like that you included the two little stars there as well in the corners. Hmm.
It's an inspiration from Chalai.
Hmm.
Chalai was a tarot goddess, a tarot pretress, uh, and she created a deck which is the Tarot Tzigane.
Hmm.
And on the back of the Tarot Tzigane, there was something that looked like this. And the meaning of these two stars is wherever you are on your way, you can always have access to the star. There is always a way out, always hope, always access to this divine
Hmm.
kind of. So
Yeah.
it was inspiration, a
Yeah.
little thought to her.
Yeah, because you're talking about Chala Yunga, or yeah, right?
Yes.
That's her name. Yeah,
Yeah.
and for those of you, my friends who love Tarot de Marseille, there is a free PDF you can find online in English now. You know, the booklet that she wrote for Grimoire. It
Yeah.
was only available in French for a long time, but also now PDF can be found easily. Well, no, if you don't can find it, message me. I will send you the link, because it's a wonderful resource for everyone who would like to learn Tarot de Marseille, how not how to read the cards. Well, it is how to read the cards, but just kind of it's
How
just a
to
wonderful
look, maybe how to
resource.
look at the cards, or how to think differently about the cards. And
Yeah,
she had a very interesting approach,
hmm.
and I really love her. I never met her, but I met actually one of her students, and we have great exchanges. And actually, we wrote the booklet, which is only available in French right now. That I'm looking for a solution to make it in English. And it's with Laurent Edouard. But oh, hello, Honolulu. We've been talking about your deck.
Look at the picture with all those cards there. Hanilu, hi Hanilu. We did mention your deck.
It's here. But well, back to Chala. Yeah, yeah, she was a great personality in tarot and very inspirational, and she for sure inspired a lot of this schematic tarot as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that kind of thing. Yeah, it's she's not like really teaching how to read cards essentially necessarily, but how to think, right? How to
Yeah.
see. Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's move on. So that was Le Mans, the Fool.
And here I have Le Battler.
Yeah, the Battler. Yep.
So Le Battler, I make it super simple. You know, in the Dodal deck, oh sorry, in the Dodal deck, is holding here a very small piece in his hand. So I
Mm,
just took the piece and I put it there to make it simple. again, like the idea is to make something in that way. The idea is to make it like as schematic as possible. So this is the identity, this is the beginning, this is the egg, I would say, but it's not yet born. It's not yet expressed, and it's covered with a lot of shadows here, and we got just see a little bit of light in the middle. Yeah, and that's the idea that it's not yet visible. It's not yet in a space. It's being born. It's preparing to being born, and I follow a lot the idea of Jean-Claude Flornoy who wrote a book about the Noble deck actually, and he's saying this is before being born, like this is incarnation.
Yeah.
So that's this idea. It's not yet revealed.
Mm.
So that's the second card that we talked about. And also, yes, sorry, I come back to it. It's the yellow color,
Mm.
and the yellow means work. It means being like working through the maturity of the state, being more and more mature, like something slow happening over time.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
if I go now to the world, it's a nice actually to compare with the battler because now we see the evolution.
I'll bring mine as well because this
Um,
is just there.
so not only he has been born, but he's been going through so much transformation that he's now everything. The battler has completed the travel and he's now in a space connected to this blue, oh, sorry, connected to this blue net. I call it a net. Um, yeah, he's in the space and time, and he's complete and he's in peace, and it has all the colors. I mean, which means like the completion of self.
Yeah, and the connection with the universal consciousness. You know, when you started talking about the yellow, how it's connected with beginning and the work, you know how in yoga chakras, you know, the solar plexus chakra is like
Yeah,
the sun of the body, but it's linked with our work identity, you know, like willpower to be determined, but work identity. When the world for me is like explosion of everything, when you kind of get to probably the crown chakra, if you will, right? And
yeah.
that's the connection with the whole, the realization of the unity, right? And that
Yeah.
connection with the universal consciousness happens. I don't know, that just made me think of that. So
That's
yeah.
super interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there is a lot of connection between the 22 arcanas of tarot and what we figure out with yoga.
Mm,
There is some knowledge, that
yeah.
common knowledge
Mm,
in the things.
yeah. And it's interesting, like the more we know, right, the more I practice tarot, the more I practice yoga, the more common things I find.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, yeah.
that's very incredible.
Hmm.
I
I'll
really
just
love
quickly,
I really love these connections as well.
yeah. I'll just quickly highlight Luna is saying that she's so amazed how you were able to interpret the energy of the full card, the energy in that abstract way. Yeah.
Well, it's been. I mean, I remember having a conversation with Pablo Robledo,
Hmm.
and I don't speak Spanish, and he doesn't really speak English.
Hmm.
So when we talk together, I mean, basically we write. I write
Same.
in
Google
English,
Translate.
and he write in Spanish, and we get whatever we can get from the conversation, and it's really funny. And one day he explained me something about his perception of the fool, and he told me once, like the fool is pushed by his own ego, and maybe the ego is this little creature here.
Hmm.
It's possible, like he, I don't know. I really like in the fool that is maybe this artist, always going, always free, never wants to settle,
Mm.
always want to innovate, and does never, I mean, doesn't accept any kind of anything that could, how can I say, limit his freedom.
Mm.
So, and I would understand that somehow. I would like to be the fool, like anything that want to restrict me, like, oh, no, no, I'm not that. I'm something else. I'm moving on.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's why like full in the Arcana, that's why it's you see like in Tarot de Mars, it's not numbered, right? So the fool can go anywhere in between the cards, right? So not stuck to one position. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
actually, in the game of tarot, because I was asked, or we were asked actually, what means tarot to me.
Mm.
And at
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
beginning,
It's Eric's question. Yeah, I'll highlight it again. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
yes. So tarot to me always meant a game. I used to play tarot when I was a kid, and I loved that game. It was also, when you play tarot, you have the big cards. So when you're a kid, it's really something to hold all these big cards. And their color and their design is so much nicer than usual playing cards. So when you play tarot, it is always special. And it's a
Mm.
difficult game. You have to plan in advance how much points you're going to make, with whom on the table you're going to partner to win the game. It's very strategic. It's super interesting. You need to be good with mathematics, to plan and count. It's great. And
Mm.
so tarot to me is a game. And when I met the Marseille tarot, it became something more.
Mm.
And with
Nice.
time, I must say, to me, it has to keep a game. So it's a little bit deeper to me now,
Mm.
but I think it's dangerous to use tarot like, okay, I pick a card and I read the card, and maybe it's going to make me feel that way, and tomorrow it's going to make me feel another way. And if I make my decision on that feeling based on a random pick of card, maybe it's dangerous for my mental health.
Mm.
I think I have to be very careful with that. I need to put like some structure in my reading of the cards to make sure it doesn't affect my judgment,
Mm.
because it's easy to pick a card when you have a doubt about something. Like, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not sure about that, I'm going to pick a card. But
Mm.
maybe if my mental state is not super stable, if I'm not at peace, the card I'm going to pick, maybe it's going to give me something that is an image of my mental state. And
Mm.
maybe it's not going to help me so much.
Yeah, but yeah, I find the same actually. You need to be in the right state of mind. I would pick a card in terms of advice of what I should do, but it should be from the detached state, because many times I would pick the card, it pretty much tells me in my face exactly how I feel, you know,
Yeah,
especially, I don't know if you know Sibylla, Sibylla Oracle, that those cards are always like, I can ask for advice, I can ask whatever, but it just gives me what the situation is, and it's just so hilarious because it's like it just kind of really pushes a punch. It's like, well, you know what's going on, and that's the
yeah,
situation. So it means that like I'm not ready to do a reading because I am biased. Like if I really need a reading, I need to ask somebody else, one of
yes,
my friends at that moment, unless I'm in a good state of mind. And then like, yeah, I know that I'm detached, I'm not biased, and I will be like
yeah.
very yeah,
In a
very
better state of mind, or detached, to
mm,
get the meaning of the card that can be useful actually.
yeah, not
So
emotionally involved, but rather being like, what yoga teaches, being an observer of what you can see and right, see
yeah,
what is seen, rather than being like a part of it, like during the reading. Yeah.
yeah. So to me, well, it's a game, but now when I play tarot with my friends or with my family, I have a different look at the cards. Like, I memorize them so much better, and also I know like this Queen of Wands, like she has a special energy. I mean, she means something much more to me. But I like to keep it as a game, and never be so much serious. And if there is a very sometimes a super heavy, important, good reason to read the cards, like I really make my ritual, I really detach myself from the situation, and then I accept the message if it's good for me. And I try to not make decision on a tarot reading. I always try to get inspiration more than making a decision.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's my
Great.
only point of view, because like, everyone is different. Some people have maybe super clear message and they use it differently. So I'm super open. I don't think like my vision is division. I don't think so.
Yeah. No, that's great. I just wanted to highlight quickly another comment before we move to another card that Eric said about the magician. Like, yeah, that the yellow reminds him of the egg as a gold coin. Yeah, but like more the idea of the egg. And when you mentioned the booklet, Lou commented that, yeah, me too. I also hope that Agnes will get us a book one day. First translation of the booklet that you have, and then yeah.
And yeah, well, I'm not so good with words, but maybe one day, who knows?
I think you are. I think you're very poetic with words.
Thank you so much, Masha.
Yeah.
If you like, we can go over maybe I mean, do we have a little bit of time? Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, we
already
do. Yeah,
almost
it
one
just
hour.
depends. It's very late for you. For me, it's early in the morning. I'm awake now, so
Okay. So maybe if you like, we can go over the three values of the schematic tarot deck,
let me
because
just
it's
find the
maybe the
version.
most mysterious cards of the schematic tarot deck. It's like incomprehensible. So maybe it's nice to go over them.
Yeah, can I just before we go to the virtues, can I ask you a quick question? You know how in the manufactured version, the Arcanum 2 is the purpose, la papessa? Oh, what's happening? Why is the balls are going?
That's so nice.
It's a new feature.
That's so great.
What's happening? I didn't do anything. Thank you, whoever did it. But yes, so with the handmade copy, you rename the cards, right? So La
Yeah.
Sagesta. I
Yeah.
very much relate to the sages of yoga, but can you just kind of talk a little bit of this one, and then we move to the virtues?
Yes, la sagesse, the wisdom. Um, Let me find it because I shuffled it, so now it's all over. Um,
I'll hold it. I'll hold
I
it. You can
mean, you
just talk
have it,
about
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So la sagesse, um, it's the opening of consciousness, and it's also the birth. So the egg now is born. It's shown to the light. It starts to live. It goes from the darkness to the light. So basically, like on the bottom is the darkness, there are the waters. So, like, we can be totally about like birth giving. That could be a card of birth giving, of course. But it's much more than that. It can also be something that has been maturing a long time in the darkness, invisible from the others, is now opening up. And it's this idea also of like the purpose. She has this idea of the veil, and little by little we are able to see through the veil or to open the veil and open up to a new reality with much more light, with much more consciousness. So it's opening of the consciousness, new beginning, something's being born, and an opposition from the darkness, like the secret, to the knowledge, actually.
Mhm. You
Light
know,
in.
yeah, yeah, because I have a few favorites from your deck, and La Sagesse is one of my favorites because I also very much love the renaming of the Arcanum. Because really, when we look at the purpose and tarot, like your renaming makes much more sense to me how I see the cards as well, and also that opening to the light. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's go to
Great.
the
No, it's a very interesting card. And
Yeah.
inspiration to draw this card. It's somehow when I draw it first, I made like only two halves of a circle opening
Mm.
up like this.
Just
That
see.
was the basic idea of that, and then I added colors and the waters.
Yeah.
It's,
No, I think it's brilliant. Let me just find justice, temperance, and the strength force. Let's see. Okay.
maybe I have one too. I have justice and justice here.
I think
Yeah.
I should do this way and this way.
Yeah, so we see on these three cards, there are the four squares on the bottom.
Mm.
And actually, when you go back to the oldest Marseille deck, you also have four squares here in the name.
Mm.
And I think it's a Masonic symbol. It means like the craft people from from the time, they always used these four squares to mark the stones or to mark the edition of a book. I mean, there is something very ancient and very traditional about the four squares. It's
Mm.
also the four direction, the four elements, the four values, because we must say there are actually four main values, and we see them represented in the cathedral and the churches in France, which are justice, force, temperance, and wisdom.
Yeah. Oh,
And
they call it prudence, right? So it's more like, yeah,
or
I mean, yeah,
prudence,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, same, yeah.
yeah, prudence, which is also like, to me, it connects to knowing, kind of.
Mm.
And I think in the tarot, they're represented only three values, and the fourth values would be the entire deck. It would be um, uh, often in the tarot, they don't say everything. They say only part of the things, but some of it is left to interpretation. So that was the idea, to represent these four squares and to activate one or two or three of them. And
Mm.
in justice, we activate with the darker blue only one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it connects to a circuit. And okay, you can imagine it's a circuit of water. What is blue is cold, what is yellow is warm. And there is equilibrium between the warmer place, which is working with the yellow color, and the blue, cold blue, which is more, I mean, not working in the meaning of being connected to the universe, like being stable. So here in the justice, there is a work of equilibrium between these two sides of the scale. On the other side here, there is the glaive. And on the top here, we have, okay, it could be the ego or consciousness, which is back to the third eye here. And it's a way to place the ego in the right place, like small. It's not taking the whole place and the whole surface of the card. And it's in a situation of being able to see the whole situation and make a decision based on um, how can I say that? Okay, the decision is taken after reflection, after seeing the whole picture, after hearing the whole thing. And we have connected to that. I added a little hammer because I think in the justice, when the decision is made, like you give something with a hammer and decision is done.
Yeah. So it's more
So
like
that's
justice, like an accord. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
amazing. Hmm. And
And
then with the strength, la forza. So we have two dark blue squares, right? So,
Yes. And the force, I'm force can be many things. I must say it's also courage, perseverance, and to me, force was this really this idea to make an effort of the heart and activate the heart chakra, activate the heart area, and uh, keep the effort based on what your heart can say. And mostly at the state, I mean, usually when you're at force, I mean, I have to explain my point of view. Maybe in life you start with the battler and you end your life with the world.
mm,
And when you're at force, la force, you already have made a lot of steps. And often force can be referred to making an effort for your community or for your family or for a group of people,
mm,
not just for yourself. Maybe we can compare to the chariot. The chariot would be something for self. I make my own decision, I go my own way, I decide who I am, and I
mm,
just go. Force is different. It's much more um, collective. It's a more
mm,
collective energy, and it's taking into consideration all the others part that's in your life at this time.
yeah, like the real strength comes from the collective, right? From not just being self-centered, but being, yeah, thinking about others. Yeah. And the temperance, I love the temperance card as well.
And temperance, it's a little bit funny. I had this idea to make this weird shape on the top of the card, like
Mm,
um, something connected, ready to make new connection. This red wheel kind
mm,
on the top is really activating the whole process. So we have these pipes going from red to blue, and we have these two round, like the red circle and the blue circle.
yeah,
So
just
again, one pole is more the sun and the ego and the personal, and the blue is more the moon and the collective and the emotional.
mm,
And we adjust between these two. We find the balance. And again, it comes from an energy that's much more in the sky, something that's much more inspired by faith. And we can see the red is on top, which means it's a lot of activation, it's a lot of life, it's a lot of energy. And it means there is a lot of energy coming from the sky. So it's a lot of inspiration to act in a way of balancing your own energies.
mm, yeah, beautiful. Mm, yeah, amazing. And let's now, while we're in the cards, move to the celestials, my favorites. Sun, moon, and star. Star, moon, and sun. And these three cards again, they're my favorite. I really love the star, especially, and the sun for me is the first card. When I pulled it, it was like wow, the energy of it was like so strong.
That's about the sun. That was the idea to put all the energy of the sun into gathering,
Mm,
into connecting,
yeah.
doing something together. It's really like okay, there is an activation whenever there is this pipe. We can see here going from one way to another, and it's kind of pushing together. That's the idea we see in the sun in all the Marseille deck. Looking for the sun. These two persons, they are bound to be together. They,
Mm,
they don't have a choice. Like the sun is telling them, like it's a magnet couple.
mm,
They want to go away from another, they can't. It's too much attraction.
yeah.
And in a schematic tarot deck, it's again uh, unity. And you can find it, there is not this idea of a couple in this one, it's more, I'd say, unity of self,
Mm.
um, bringing together the, well, it's, yeah, unity, like the mind, the body, the soul, everything is connecting in one piece. And again, it can be the ego, this red circle. It's not too big, but it's
Mm.
inspired by the sun.
Yeah, great. And yeah, so I do very much like also that the star and the moon there on a black background, dark background.
Yeah, here we're in the night. It's a different ambience.
Mm.
Like we're, I have behind me the moon,
Yeah,
but
I love it.
the sky is white, so you don't feel so much the night.
No.
And in the schematic tarot deck, I'm thinking, it's the night. It has to be black, and it
Mm.
gives you this feel of calm down,
Mm.
smoothness, easiness. But the moon, okay. Now maybe we start with the star because it's first.
Right.
So the star, it has many symbols in it. We have the rainbow, or maybe the aurora coming from the sky with colors and going down to earth. So it's a direct inspiration coming from the sky. It's super creative because all the colors are here.
Mm.
When you're an artist and you have the star, it's perfect. Like
Yeah.
everything is coming, everything is connecting.
Mm.
It's the ideal card.
Yeah. For me,
And
like if I can choose one favorite from the major arcana, the star card is my favorite.
oh, that's great. I really liked to design it.
Mm.
It was funny because I'm thinking the star is many things. The stars, it's water flowing naturally. So there is these shapes of
Mm.
flowing, but it's also something that's starting and that's evolving. It's
Mm.
something developing, but developing nicely. So I made here a spiral, and this is a Fibonacci spiral
Mm.
because the Fibonacci spiral, we find it in the nature, and it's perfect. That's all.
Mm.
So things are developing easily, naturally, perfectly,
Mm.
and there is always more to be invented. So it's like here on the bottom of the card, there
Mhm.
is, it's like the star is a plant.
Mm.
This plant is growing from the ground up to the sky. There is this mechanism again in the star that keeps finding inspiration and creating more. And on the bottom, like in the biology class, we learn like some plants they develop from the roots to create another plant somewhere else. Or like a mushroom, there is this mycelium in the earth and
Mm.
it's connecting to all the trees together, and something new is growing somewhere. So it's this meaning that with this inspiration and the creation, it's making the life grow everywhere around. There is something very smooth and positive about this card. I really like that you love it, Masha.
Mm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah. All right, and the moon. This has lots of energy, the moon card. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
the moon is a little bit dramatic, I must say. The moon, it's a little bit the moon, it's a little bit hard because there is in the moon these two parts of the heart that
Mm.
are separated. And okay, and it's difficult. We can feel something is missing, we can feel the separation, we can feel the distance. And that's maybe the way that personally I feel the moon.
Mm.
It's, you can feel the distance at the point that you can even communicate with another person. when they're far away, because you can communicate, I mean, without words or without texting or without anything, but you can feel the energy of the separation. You can feel the heart missing someone. So
Yeah.
there is something very dramatic
Mm.
and very emotional. Um, and also, I see in the moon this idea of how thinking about life, uh, missing the unity of divine situation. Something like, oh, I'm here down to earth. What am I doing here? Um,
Mm.
kind of adopting,
But that's the moon energy,
questioning
right? The moon energy
something.
is all about reflecting, right? Reflecting on our own illusions and delusions, right? Reflecting
Yes.
what's hidden, what's not necessarily the truth, right? Yeah, wonderful.
But the card is really dramatic because we have in the moon uh, almost a full circle missing in the middle of the moon. So
Mm,
this is also to emphasize this idea that it's something's missing, something's big is missing, and then these two heart. I mean, the two part of the heart, they're separated like this, facing each side of the card. So
mm.
it's very dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah, but also, like when we have heartache, right? Like we can survive through the day, but during the night, all the pain reveals itself. Yeah.
That's true. That's so true, Masha. That's
Mm. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And yeah, so as I mentioned before, I will link your TikTok and I will link your Instagram, Agnes, where you share more for people who only who are curious about the schematic tarot or the Tarot Schematique, about the cards, so we don't reveal them all in one video. And also, I will be posting my walkthrough in next week, so we just give
oh
people
great.
watch this video, but next week I will post mine. But yeah, I actually had a similar question for you to share, and Rolf asked that what kind of cardstock do you use? I am a former printer, and you, Agnes, you offer 2 or 3 versions of the schematic tarot, right? Can you talk
Well,
about?
yeah, the schematic tarot, it's coming, and actually, how can I explain that? Uh, yeah, because I don't have examples for each, but I
I
have
have
one.
the manufactured one though.
Yeah, I
So
have one too. So
handmade and manufactured.
yeah, so the handmade. Oh, maybe okay. The handmade tarot deck is made with connection as assembly of 3 layers of paper. So there is the front layer, the back layer, and the middle layer.
Mm.
And so it's a cardstock that I actually make. First, I print the faces, then I print the backs on 2 different papers, and then
And
I glue them together
yeah, and
on.
for the handmade one, you use the Japanese washi paper, right? For the schematic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And in the middle of the card, there is a gray layer, so the light doesn't go through.
Together. It's just easier to see, like, when you bring cards together, you can see the
Yeah,
middle layer, the gray layer. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's the kind of cardstock that I make myself, and that's why like the price of the handmade decks is a little bit like up in the sky, because it means a lot of time. Like it's hours and hours and hours, and
But you see,
but
like, when it comes to handmade decks, I find that like it breaks my heart to call it cardstock because it's not cardstock. It's paper, handmade paper core, right?
yes, that's right. And but actually, it is at the end it makes a cardstock, but
Yeah,
it's
true.
not the
Yeah.
cardstock that you can find in any paper producer. I mean, I have like I use paper from Awagami factory in Japan.
Mm.
I mean, it's called Awagami factory, but they actually work a lot by hand, and some of the process is with a machine. So it's traditional paper,
Mm.
and it's a beautiful paper. And with the French paper, um, it's made actually in France, but then I have less information about the process. But it's the paper they use in the French library, I mean the National French Library, to fix the books from the 17th century.
Yeah.
So it's a high quality paper that's not going to disintegrate with time. It's really made for being stable over time. And so the cardstock is handmade, let's say
Mm.
like this.
Mm.
On the Voyage edition or manufactured edition, this is a cardstock that is more casual, I would say, for the printer. And the printer who did them in France, they use 310 grams per square meters, and it's been opaque, I think we say like that. So
Mm.
the light doesn't go through. And then it's laminated with a sandy feel. So
Yeah.
it's not completely sleek. It gives,
And
it
it
has
has the
texture.
sound as well, like sandy sound. And
Yeah,
to be honest, I've never, for when it comes to a printer, I've never experienced the cardstock as great as this. Because actually, when I opened this, like when I touched the card, I was like, is it handmade? Like my first like
oh,
touching
really?
it, because like wow, it's like it feels like almost it's been soaked as well, because of the lamination, the sand lamination.
But in fact, I checked with the printer, and I asked for all kind of finishing they could give, and it was this special finishing. So it's a lamination in the end. So they print, and then there is another lamination. So it gives protection, and it gives a special feel. And as an identity of Kartograme, I really emphasize the idea of the cards feels in the hands. And
Mm.
maybe that's my way of, I feel energy through my hands. I feel things with my hands. So I'm extra sensitive with my hands. So I chose this one because I think it has something special.
Yeah, but I
And
think many of us, many tarot people, or many people who like to read cards, we are very much after a tactile experience, right?
yeah,
That's why we don't use a tarot app, right, on the phone, because we love the touching, the shuffling of the cards. Yeah,
yes. So it has a special feel. That's right, and it's not something that's seen so often in cardstocks.
yeah,
So it's a little bit
yeah.
special.
And also with the manufactured edition, it's actually very affordable. So for me, like, I mean, for those of you, my friends who want to try a Kartograme deck, this is a good way to go, right? Just to try it because it's affordable and it's like it's a superb quality. I'm so amazed. And yeah.
Thank you, Masha. Thank
No,
you so much.
thank you, because yeah, another question I have before, like, I mean, we will end up soon because we're getting closer to 1.5 hours, but you offer two bags. So this is the bag that I have from your handmade
Yeah,
schematic, and this is the bag from the manufactured. Can you talk
yeah.
about the inspiration? Because both are stunning, and I use this bag for our thumbnail for this
Yes.
live. Yeah.
The back on the manufactured deck is inspired by the vitrail. It's the craft in the cathedral with the glass on the
Mm.
windows. And to me, it was this idea that the light is coming through
Yeah.
uh, in every kind of colors possible.
Mm.
Um, that's a mix. That's a creation, a digital creation I made from a bag that I created a long time ago that I never used.
Mm.
So in the background of this, because you have the squares kind of and the light. So that's another version of it. But like here, um, In the background, you can see some dots and some texture. And
Mm,
this was influenced by Klimt,
mm.
who did work a lot also about the light and geometry and sacred geometry.
It's
So
this one,
there is
right?
a
It's,
lot of layers to it.
yeah.
And this one is the labyrinth.
Okay.
Uh, Actually, today, the schematic deck, the original one, had a labyrinth on the back. So it
Mm,
was hand painted, and then there was illumination of a labyrinth with the silver leaves, and it was describing a pathway between gold dots,
mm,
and each gold dot was positioned after the Pleiad constellation. So
mm,
it's a big piece of work, and it was the original concept, um, to have a labyrinth on the back
mm,
of the card.
mm.
So I took again this idea of the labyrinth and I worked on it digitally. And that's why there is like pixels and also kind of shape of a labyrinth on the back of this card.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Oh, I love both. Yeah,
Oh,
very
thank
beautiful.
you. But they're a little bit different. And I don't know. I was thinking on the manufactured deck, I wanted more something warmer on the back,
Mm.
and that's why I chose to use this one to have
Yeah,
some.
because the paper itself is a bit warm as well. A bit, if you
Yeah,
compare, you see, yeah, probably when I do my walkthrough, it will be more visible, right? But the washi paper has a little bit of a cooler tones to it, right? And
yeah,
the manufactured
yeah,
one has a bit more like a warmer, aged or vintage, if you will, right? Look, yeah.
yeah. It's a warmer.
Mm,
I'm actually it was it. We did some try with the printer. Like the first time I printed a sample, it was super cold and gray, and it was not
mm,
exactly the feel. Then I made it maybe I wanted it warmer, and
mm.
that's why we
Yeah,
have
no,
this
it's good.
version now.
Yeah,
And
it's a great result. All right. So, yeah, we'll just open for questions. If you have more questions, friends, please type them now. But before we go, because we are all here deck people, we love our decks. Agnes, can you share what tarot decks you personally love, whether they're yours or by other creators? And which tarot decks do you normally reach for when you do readings for yourself or
um,
for others?
sometimes I change. So for a time, I use this Dodal deck. Actually, long story short, I was taking advice from Laurent Edouard, who is a student of Chala Younger,
Hmm.
the tarot professional tarot reader for more than 20 years.
Hmm.
And I started taking advice from him to improve a little bit my reading and understand a better way of reading cards. And he told me first you need to have the one deck. It's not like you're not going to cheat on your deck and take another one. You have your one deck and you sleep with it and you carry it all the time with you, and it's the only deck you're going to read. So you create a connection with the cards. So I was like, okay, so I need to craft one for me, because believe it or not, I've been crafting decks at Kartograme for so long and I didn't have my own deck. Um, because it's so much time consuming that crafting a deck for me, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So I did it last winter, and actually on just before Christmas I achieved to craft this deck, and I read for with this one, and this is a Dodal deck,
Hmm.
and with a Japanese paper, and very simple one, no gilding. And I made myself a box with actually an inside paper. I don't know if we can see it,
Yeah, I'll just
which
bring my
was one of the first. It has little bit dots. I mean, it was one of the first marble paper I got for the Dodal deck, and that's the deck I used to read. I think for the last I mean, from January to June, like 6 months, I used only
Mm,
this one. And
amazing.
I finally changed a little bit later, using more the schematic tarot deck.
Mm,
Also, I wanted to create these small videos to explain each card. So I started to use it more because I need to get into the feeling of it and get inspiration with the cards. So now I'm using also the schematic tarot deck. And I'm thinking what else we I use. Is it called the mystical moment? Right? Uh,
by a German artist, Tarot of the Mystical Moments. No.
yes, yeah. Catherine
Wait.
Weltstein.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using it because it's very girly. I like
Hmm.
it. It's very smooth. Like for girl question, I like it. I wouldn't
Hmm.
use it for men question, but for girls, I like it. And I always have
It's a
also
great.
this. Yeah, you like
Yeah.
it too?
Yeah, yeah, it's a, I find like it's very easy to tell stories with that. You know that
Yeah,
when I got my husband got it for me, I think 2 years ago, something for Valentine's Day. But when I put
yeah,
three cards, it's just so easy to see the story, and all of my friends agree. Like friends that I meet here in my area in Australia, when we pull the cards, it's just so easy to see the story. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's very refreshing from the Marseille deck. Sometimes it's good to change imagery and
Mm.
get a new take on a card. And I also refer to the booklet sometimes to say like, what did she really want to say? Like I took a Seven of Cups
Mm.
earlier today. Like, what does this mean? Like, and then I take the booklet. I say, "Oh, okay, interesting. I didn't have that kind of approach with the Seven of Cups
Mm.
before. Interesting." So yeah, sometimes I like to change, but
Yeah.
I have to go back to this one for the deep work. I think, and
Mm.
yeah, like Dodal is always it's been my deck forever. I think.
Yeah, well, for me, I think if I have to choose like two of my most used like serious decks, it will be now your Payan, the Payan 1743, especially because there is one 1713. But yeah, the Payan and then the Nablé. I've learned with Nablé, like when I started studying Tarot de Marseille, the courses I did, I used of course, the Nablé, but also Pablo Robledo's decks,
Ah,
the
yeah,
Karaja. Well, Karaja is more like one of, well, I mean, not really recent, right? Two years ago, but 2 years ago I had it. But my first deck from Pablo was his original Marcella,
yeah,
the one that, yeah, yeah. So for me, that's pretty much if I had to kind of talk about three decks I most like use now, right now, most for myself and others for like serious readings. Jean Payen, Jean Nablé, and Pablo's. Yeah, Pablo
yeah.
Robledo's. Mm.
Pablo Robledo's work is like.
Yeah,
For,
but
yeah.
like what you share with Pablo, and I'm really glad that you actually do make his decks. That I find like your cards, you just feel the energy, like the energy put into the cards, and that's what I feel about Pablo's as well. His restorations, they have so much energy
Yeah.
in them. So yeah, that's kind of it's almost like magic, just something special about about those
Thank you so
decks.
much that yeah, I still craft them. I have
Mm,
to put them online again because I currently don't have them on in stock, but I always try to have one of each. So some of them I need to glue them together soon, and it
yeah.
will be back on my website because this is it's also in demand from time to time, and I like to have them on the website because I'm super happy about our collaboration,
Mm.
and of course, handmade decks that don't sell like a commercial edition, and people they, I mean, everyone should feel free to. I mean, there is no rush. It's not out of edition soon. because like I sell a deck like once every 3 6 months, and there is always one available. But
Yeah.
I hear stories of people saving for a long time before getting a handmade
Mm,
deck, and this I feel so touched and moved by this,
mm,
because it's hard nowadays to save money, and to save
yeah.
money for a handmade deck, I feel always blessed
Mm,
when this happens. It's
yeah.
like magic. I
But
I
I think it's
really
also,
understand the effort of the people. I
yeah, no, I do too. And I think it's also kind of comes down to, like with time, when I only started tarot, I started watching YouTube and I purchased so many decks that I didn't need, because I kind of liked people who liked them. And I'm like, oh, maybe I will connect with this deck, maybe I will connect with this deck. And now it's kind of for me, I'm not that excited about many decks, new decks released on the market. And for me it's become more thinking about whether would I rather buy like 20 new shiny decks that like coming on the market every month, or whether I would save, rather than buying 20, I would rather invest into one like that I kind
Mhm.
of researched I wanted, and that's kind of my thinking and my approach to purchasing decks, to adding decks in my collection has changed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with a collector of playing cards deck.
Hmm.
So not tarot. He doesn't collect tarot. He collects playing cards, and he explained me he's been doing that for I think 15 years maybe. The first years it's excitement, it's figuring out like who's doing what, getting new decks, exciting about opening the each deck, and growing the collection fast. And after some time, after a couple years, it's less space on the shelves, and it's maybe also yourself. You have better awareness about what you like and what you don't like, and you know more exactly what you want the next purchase and the next object you want to add to your collection, and you start to give an orientation to the collection. And I also got this idea, not an idea, but like this person shared with me that the waiting time is also important. Like it's
Hmm.
part of acquiring a new deck, and yeah, it's the process of collecting is something very special. And I have a collector who's very patient, and he tells me, okay, you have 6 months, 1 year, whatever. And after 1 year, it's like, did you have time to finish? If you didn't have time to finish, like, not a problem, we give it another 6 months.
Hmm.
And just like it has to be the good version. I mean, I don't want to rush you. I don't want to have the deck right now. I want to have the deck when it's the right time and it's completely
Hmm.
ready. And I don't want to rush you and push you or have
Yeah.
it fast. And then I understood like it's nice also to let the things happen
Hmm.
nicely.
Yeah, but
So
if you're in a rush, the energy will be very different, right? Than from the state when you're really relaxed,
yeah,
when you don't have
it's
like a deadline to meet.
I mean, usually I must say I never really craft well in a rush.
Hmm.
And it happened to me when I did, I missed. I mean, I made mistake and I had to redo it another time. So I never saved time by rushing. And so usually when I craft, I mean, from the order, sometimes there is a sample card, so we know exactly where we're going. And there is always 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 6 months.
Hmm.
And before I get to the final version of the deck. So yeah, it's not something that has to be rushed.
Hmm.
It's many steps. If I had nothing else to do, just crafting, for example, a 78 card deck would take me 8 hours, and it would have also in this to add to this 8 hours another 12 hours of drying. So you
Mm.
could say 20 hours for a deck. And
Yeah.
but I never do that because like we have like life, mails, connection. There is several
Mm.
decks in the same time, so
Yeah.
it's it's always going with the time.
Yeah. So Lina's saying great and magical art takes as long as it takes. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
before we go, I know you've got an exciting event coming, and if I lived in France, I would be there. Can you share like your most recent, like you kind of you have a workshop, right? It's called a workshop coming. Yeah.
yes.
For
Oh,
those
this is
who live in
this
France or
is a
visiting
new,
Paris.
this is completely new, and we set this up this summer with a
Mm,
company. It's a French company actually. It's called We Can Do with double
mm,
O, and it means actually that yes, we can do anything we want, and it's based on craft and arts, and it's a way to share the knowledge and to spend time together, and at the end um, we really create something, and the participant, they come out of the workshop with the three giant cards, which are, I mean, I have them, but it's really much larger. Like this is a normal card, but the card we make, they're much larger. It's something that can be a decorative object, and
mm,
also we're gonna add some illumination on them, so they're really nice. And it's the idea to spend time together, talk about tarot, craft the cards, learn the gluing process, learn we make the glue together, and we choose the deck. I mean the cards. We soap them, we cut them, and well, it's a nice way to meet people, and it's a nice way for the people who are interested into Kartograme to come and meet me and visit the workshop, because it's going to happen exactly in the same place where I create all the decks.
mm.
So that's
Yeah.
exciting news. It's going to
No,
be
I wish.
once a month.
I so wish I could be there. I even, because on your website you have a PDF file where you share which decks people can choose from. You know,
Yeah,
I got so excited. I checked. So if I came to your workshop, I would struggle. I think I would be choosing between the Oswald Verse Tarot, three cards
yeah.
from Oswald Verse, or Pablo Scaraja. I don't know, but yeah,
Mm.
but I kind of got so excited. I just checked already. Like if I went,
You
yeah,
check the link.
what will I choose?
Yeah, but you should come, or maybe who knows? Like for now, I cannot travel so much, but I would
Yeah,
love to travel. But it's hard to travel with the whole
it's
workshop.
the workshop. Yeah, yeah. No, I so wish because I love Paris, and yeah, maybe
Yeah,
next
if
time,
you
maybe
come, let
next
me
year.
know, and we set a special date for you, and
Yeah.
that could
Yeah,
be so nice.
hopefully, yeah. I hope because this year I'm going to Japan. Last year I went to Europe, but hopefully next year I make my way to Europe again. So yeah, of course I will. Yeah, I will keep you posted.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we covered everything. And thank you so much, Agnes, for joining me once again and for sharing so openly and so beautifully about your work. And again, for people watching now, watching back, that I just really, I don't say it lightly, but I really truly admire your work and everything that you do because of the
It's so nice,
intention
Masha.
and
Thank you.
dedication you have, because you have such a high work ethic and so much respect for your customers and to the craft of what you're doing, and it's really admirable, and it's like no other right now in the world that I've experienced. So thank you for being you, and yeah, and for sharing and for handcrafting the treasures that so many of us now love. So you, Anya, stay with me for next few minutes, but we'll just say goodbye to everyone. So thank you so much, everybody who joined us live, and to those of you who will be watching back. Please leave questions in the comments. I will pass them to Agnes, and I will link Agnes' social media as well. And thank you, Agnes, for being here and for
I
joining me.
thank you, Masha. You're amazing, and you're a gift to us all who loves tarot. I thank you so
Oh,
much, Masha.
well,
And thank
thank
you to everyone who came and commented, and everyone who's going to watch later. Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Yeah. So have a nice weekend, everyone. And yeah, so Agnes will see you soon on her social media, and I will be back on my channel very soon. Bye for now.
Bye bye.